title, Waves Between Us. The sea had always whispered stories, and today it murmured one more. It was early evening when Mira stepped off the rusted ferry and onto the creaking wooden dock of Seafall Cove, a town that hadn't changed much since she'd left. The scent of salt, pine, and something faintly nostalgic wrapped around her like an old scarf. She stood for a moment, letting the wind tangle her hair, as if the ocean itself was trying to remind her of who she used to be. A decade had passed since she'd last seen this town, or him, Elian. He had written her once right after high school, a clumsy letter in shaky handwriting filled with news about the town's lighthouse restoration and a bakery that had opened on Main Street. She never replied. Life had swept her up in promises elsewhere: college, city lights, and a love that burned too bright and too fast, only to crumble in silence. But heartbreak has a way of leading you back to where you began. She walked up the winding road toward the town square, suitcase in hand, her eyes scanning every corner that echoed with old memories. Bike races down the hill, pinky promises carved into the bark of the ancient tree behind the church, midnight swims in the bay. And then, as if conjured by memory, she saw him. He was standing outside the old bookshop, a mug of coffee in his hands, laughing softly with Mrs. Carter, the same way he always had. Older now, his hair longer, jawline sharper, but unmistakably Elian. The moment he looked up and their eyes met, the world slowed. "Mira," he breathed, as if saying her name hurt and healed him all at once. "Elian." They stared for a second longer than what polite reunions allowed, before Mrs. Carter chuckled and excused herself with knowing eyes. "You're back," he said. "Yeah, for a while," she replied, voice catching slightly. "Needed a place to think." "You picked the right place," he said gently. "We have an ocean full of silence here." They ended up walking along the shore, barefoot like they used to, the sun painting the sky in strokes of gold and blush. Words came hesitantly at first. Updates about people they both used to know, his work restoring old homes, her writing job she just quit, and the breakup that left her feeling like she'd lost parts of herself. "I always thought you'd stay out there," he said after a while. "You were meant for big places." "I thought so too," she admitted. "But big places don't always make you feel full." He didn't say anything, just kicked at a shell and let the sound of the waves speak for him. Over the next few days, they fell into something achingly familiar. He showed her how the boardwalk had been rebuilt, took her to the cafe that now served lavender scones, and they even visited the old tree where their initials, still faint, were carved into the bark. But beneath the laughter and stories, something unspoken pulsed between them. One night, beneath a canopy of stars, they sat on the beach, wrapped in a blanket, silence stretching long between them. "Do you ever wonder what might have happened if I stayed?" she asked. Elian's breath hitched. "Every day." She looked at him then, really looked, at the way his eyes still searched hers like they held answers, at the quiet sadness he wore like a shadow. "I was in love with you back then," he confessed, voice low. "But you had dreams, And I never wanted to be the reason you stayed. Tears prickled behind her eyes, and I never knew. I think you did, he said softly. The waves crashed, pulling secrets from the shore. She reached for his hand. Maybe I wasn't ready then, but I am now. He squeezed her fingers, a slow, hopeful smile forming. I'm still here. 1 year later, Mira sat on the porch of the little seaside cottage they now shared, typing away at her novel, while Elian worked in the garden, humming to himself. Their love wasn't the burning fire of youth. It was steadier, like the tide, rising and falling, patient and constant. Some days were filled with laughter, others with quiet understanding. And though regrets lingered like old photographs tucked in drawers, they had found something rare, a second chance not everyone gets. And every night, as the sea sang outside their window, they held each other. Two souls finally home, in a town that had waited for them both.